The film opens with a dying man in a hospital, receiving an ominous visit from a sinister woman he immediately recognizes. She proceeds to brutally torture him before he succumbs to his fate. Donal, a middle-aged farmer, lives in the countryside with his elderly mother, Florence, whose health is steadily declining. Though they share a bond, there remains an emotional distance between them. Donal enjoys hunting for food and repairing cars in his free time. One day, his friend Bernard arrives to collect a car that Donal has fixed but doesn't have the money to pay for. Instead, he offers Donal a broken-down RV for only £200. Knowing Donal's skills, Bernard points out that he could repair the RV and sell it for a profit. He also suggests that Donal take his mother on a short holiday, and that he should get out and enjoy life. That night, Donal's mother reads a newspaper article about the death of an old friend, Leo McMahon, the man from the hospital, which deeply unsettles her, leaving Donal confused by her reaction. Later, at a pub, Donal is quietly drinking beer when he is disturbed by a young patron harassing the bartender and owner. When Donal steps in to intervene, the young man mocks him instead, calling him an old gorilla who still lives with his mother. The owner ultimately forces the troublemaker to leave. Struggling with insomnia, Donal heads to his barn and starts repairing and repainting the RV. Once he finishes, he suggests to his mother that they take a road trip to Montague Beach, a place they used to visit, but she refuses and walks away. However, feeling guilty, she later returns to the barn with beers and tells Donal that if he wants to go, he should, as she doesn't mind. Despite this, Donal declines. Donal drinks himself to sleep in the RV and has a disturbing dream. He is hunting in a dark forest when he suddenly finds himself aiming his shotgun at his mother, who is vacuuming the floor. As she screams for help, he snaps out of it. Startled awake, Donal stumbles out of the RV and heads toward the house, only to see a man in a suit exiting and driving away. Rushing inside, his mother lying dead on the living room floor, brutally beaten to death. In shock, he immediately calls 911. During police questioning, Donal describes the man he saw leaving the house, clean-shaven, well-dressed, and accompanied by someone waiting in a car. Later, friends and family gather at the wake to pay their respects. That night, while tidying up his late mother's bed, Donal discovers an envelope filled with money and a photograph with the inscription, "Me, Joe, and the kids." Just then, he hears a noise coming from his barn. Grabbing his shotgun, he cautiously heads toward it, only to be ambushed by two masked men. They force him into a hangman's noose, attempting to stage his death as a suicide, but their plan fails when the rope is too loose. As they try to adjust it, Donal fights back, managing to kill one of them with a sledgehammer before subduing and tying up the other. Initially, Donal dials the police but hesitates and reconsiders. When the dead attacker's phone rings, Donal forces the surviving man to answer. The caller asks for confirmation that the job is done, and the man complies, receiving instructions to meet at the Cockle Bar the next day. After burying the dead henchman, Donal takes the surviving man in his RV. They stop for a meal, where Donal interrogates him and learns his name, Ben Bartosz. Ben reveals that his sister, Kaja, is being held hostage. Donal senses that Ben is just a pawn in a bigger scheme and knows little about his mother's murder. Seeing an opportunity to uncover the truth, Donal agrees to help Ben rescue his sister, on the condition that it leads to understanding why his mother was killed. Later, Donal and Ben arrive near the Cockle Bar, but choose to wait across the street. A car pulls up, and a man escorts a woman inside. Ben believes the woman is his sister, Kaja. Ben enters through the front door, while Donal sneaks in through the back. Inside, Ben meets with Gavigan, who immediately questions him about his missing partner. Ben, unaware of what happened to him, pleads to talk his sister. Gavigan orders his henchman, Jerome, to bring a young woman forward. When she tries to escape, Gavigan brutally kills her with a hammer as punishment. As Jerome carries her body to the storeroom, Donal secretly locks the door behind him. Seizing the moment, Donal bursts into the room, holds Gavigan at gunpoint, and takes him hostage, bringing him back to the RV. There, Ben informs Donal that the murdered young woman was not Kaja. Seeking answers, they take Gavigan into the woods, where they share a meal while interrogating him. Donal, growing emotional, presses a burning pot of beans against Gavigan's head, demanding the truth. Through his pain, Gavigan confesses that he knows nothing about Donal's mother, but does have information on Ben's sister. He reveals that he works for a wealthy woman named Frankie Pearse and her enforcer Trevor Ballantine, the same man Donal saw leaving his house the night of his mother's murder. While Donal steps away to relieve himself, Gavigan overpowers Ben and escapes. Ben catches up to him first, but Gavigan pins him down and savagely beats him, boasting that he will cut off Kaja's hands and feet. Before he can do more harm, Donal intervenes, holding him at gunpoint. Taking his chance, Ben grabs a knife and fatally stabs Gavigan. Donal remains indifferent to Gavigan's death, but Ben is visibly shaken. Before leaving, they hastily bury Gavigan's body. Frankie calls Gavigan's phone, but Donal answers, confronting her about his mother's murder and issuing a threat. Donal visits his uncle, Eamon, and shows him the photograph he found under his mother's mattress, asking if he knows anything about it. Eamon explains that the man in the photo, Joe Pearse, was a close friend of Donal's mother, but had died years ago. The young girl in the picture is Joe's daughter, Frances, who now goes by Frankie. Joe had gotten mixed up with dangerous people, and Florence tried to help him by letting him hide in a caravan at Montague Beach. However, his enemies eventually found him and killed him. Determined to rescue Ben's sister, Donal and Ben head to the brothel where she works. Donal poses as a customer and requests a session with Alicia, Kaja's working name. After paying the pimp, Donal is led to a private room where he meets Kaja and confirms his identity by having her speak with Ben over the phone. Donal overpowers the pimp and interrogates him, forcing him to reveal Trevor's location. Just then, Jerome arrives and attacks Donal, managing to overpower him. Kaja grabs a fallen gun and shoots him dead. With Donal injured, Kaja helps him back to the RV, and the three of them quickly flee the scene. Frankie and Trevor arrive at the brothel shortly after. Enraged, she brutally beat the pimp to death for his failure. Meanwhile, Donal tracks Trevor, following him from a distance. He watches as Trevor meets with Frankie and prepares to take a long-range shot at her. However, he notices she is with her young daughter. Ben urges him to reconsider, and Donal ultimately backs down. Later, as Donal, Ben, and Kaja stop at a caravan park for the night, Kaja spots a gunman attempting to ambush them. They manage to escape in their RV just in time. Consumed by his thirst for revenge, Donal grows increasingly frustrated when Ben suggests that Frankie might not be guilty. He becomes distant and unresponsive to both Ben and Kaja, ultimately telling them to leave because they are slowing him down. Before parting ways, he gives them money and drives off alone. At her home, Frankie receives a call from the gunman, Vivian, who informs her that Donal and the others got away. Furious, she fires Trevor for failing to eliminate Donal. As Trevor leaves, Frankie calls Vivian again, instructing him to pick her up. She claims to know exactly where Donal will be heading. Sensing that his uncle, Eamon, had withheld something from him, Donal returns to his home, only to find Eamon dying from injuries inflicted by Frankie's men. In his final moments, Eamon reveals the truth. Leo McMahon had discovered that Donal's mother had been having an affair with Frankie's father. Eamon had also known about the affair and now urges Donal to let go of his vengeance, suggesting that he call a truce with Frankie, but Donal refuses. His uncle dies deliriously rambling about how revenge has already cost them too much. Frankie and Vivian arrive at Eamon's home, having orchestrated a trap to catch Donal. She orders Vivian to go inside and kill him. Believing Vivian has completed the job, Frankie, armed with a gun, enters the house, only to find that Donal has already taken out Vivian and knocked him unconscious. Holding Frankie at gunpoint, he forces her into the RV and orders her to drive. Donal takes Frankie to Montague Beach, where he begins digging a grave for her. Meanwhile, Trevor learns of Frankie's disappearance from the unconscious Vivian. Meanwhile, a worried Ben goes to Eamon's house, only to be ambushed and taken hostage by Trevor and Vivian. At the beach, Donal forces Frankie to explain why his mother was murdered. Frankie finally confesses that after her father, Joe, ended his affair with Florence to return to his wife, Florence killed him in a fit of rage. Learning the truth enraged Frankie, leading her to take revenge by brutally beating Florence to death. Realizing that Frankie is also a mother, Donal decides to spare her. However, as he turns to leave, Frankie seizes the opportunity. Grabbing a shovel, she knocks him to the ground and rushes to retrieve her firearm from the RV. Donal shoots her dead in self-defense. Moments later, Donal hears a phone ringing. On the other end, Trevor tells him to bring Frankie back if he wants Ben to live. But with Frankie dead, Donal has lost his only bargaining chip. Desperate, he pleads with Trevor to take him instead. In response, Trevor coldly executes Ben, letting Donal hear his final moments over the phone. Trevor then challenges Donal to meet him at the house if he wants to settle things once and for all. Shattered and grief-stricken, Donal sits alone on the beach, staring out at the waves. He picks up his phone and dials the police, but hesitates, lost in his despair. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.